Minerals Council regular meeting Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. We'd like to ask you to rise. We'd like to have our opening prayer, and we're going to have a reading of our deceased. Shoka Alatika.
Relatives and friends, Father, give us strength today, and thank you for the beautiful season that you grant us, Father, that you so graciously grant us and bestow to us, Father, for our use and for our survival, Father. Bless all our relatives today, especially those that are bereaved this hour, Father. Our relatives, Father, look out family, Wilson family, Father. All those that are still bereaved this hour, Father. Bless those that are not well today. Bless our soldiers out in the field. Yeah. Give them strength. All they think about is home, Father. They say about home while they think about home all the time, Father. Give us all strength, Father. We need these done. Go ahead and lively, Harry Roy ready. Oh, wait. Give him strength today. He's the leader of our people, Father. Eugene, he's my older brother, Father. Like that. And he gives us the inspiration, Father, and courage and strength to go on. Yeah. What we're supposed to do, Father, like our people taught us to do, Father. All these people that hear us and think about us and look at us, Father, like that. Give us strength today, Father. The people there, Father, Almighty, give them strength today, Father. Brother, just these people, Father. My people, Father. What like are they? We're from the same band, Father. Those people down there. Give them strength, Father. Give us all the courage and inspiration and strength to go on today. Business at hand, Father. And conduct our minds, Father, bring us all together for the sake of our people and the future of our mineral state. Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. We'll have a reading of our deceased.
See those Osage. Newton, Skip Warren, and October 2nd, 2019, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Isaac J. Summers, September 23rd, 2019, Norman, Oklahoma. Linda N. Stoll, October 12th, 2019, Las Vegas, Nevada. Teresa Hester, October 15th, 2019, also Oklahoma. Stella V. Martin, September 29th, 2019, Colorado Springs, Colorado. John R. Wade, August 17th, 2019, Flower Mound, Texas. William A. Tinker, September 1st, 2019, Candy. Ava J. Wallace, October 23rd, 2019, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Yvonne Wilson Lookout, as of Tuesday, I believe she passed away. That's correct. 2019. May they rest in peace.
Together. We come together. Thank you, brother. With that being said, I'd like to have a roll call.
Councilwoman Foreman, present. Councilwoman Gray, here. Councilwoman Harlan, here. Councilman Redcorn,
Here.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Here.
Councilman Rebar,
Present.
Chairman Waller,
Present.
Secretary Yates.
Present.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to look at adding one item under old business, and that will be the review of us approaching the nation as it come out of committee over location and the archives, usage of the archives to take care of our records.
Correct.
I will put that down as C. With that being said, I'd like to go into the superintendent's report if the council's ready. You were close. You almost made it. With that, I'm I'd like to go to Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Whitlock.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. On the superintendent's report, in branch and field operations, there were 19 trucking permits prepared, 46 gas meter reports scanned in the Osage Nation report, 12 well plugging witnessed, 23 leases checked for production primary term, 96 lease inspections, 20 lease inspections / follow-ups, 6 gas meter provings, 10 gas tank trucks checked for permits, 22 tank strappings witnessed, 83 landowner leasing meetings, 7 complaints responded to, 8 spills, leaks inspected, 13 spills, leaks inspected follow-ups, 89 tanks gauged, 2 run tickets period, and 4 gaugers calculation first purchasers. Branch of lease management, leases, there are 31 pending leases waiting for approval. Assignments, there are 23 approved, 114 pending. Division orders, there were 20 approved, and leases terminated with 31. Oil and gas rentals collected was $6,240. Oil and gas bonus collected was 0. Water usage royalty paid was $666.60. Wells producing were October 2019 for 14,808, less 3,232 for saltwater wells. Other mineral sales under Part 214, APAC, sale reported per lease, APAC production was 32,959.13 tons for a royalty paid of 31,667.13. Burbank Materials sold production was 12,654.71 tons. Royalty paid was 13,413.99. Candy Creek Crusher production was 9,884.97 tons. Royalty paid was 8,550.50 cents. Smith Brothers was 416 cubic yards. Royalty paid was $312. Rocky Banks was 42 cubic yards. Royalty paid was $35. Range subsurface, approved drilling permits was 0.
Lieutenant, prior to our meeting, not knowing if we could discuss it while he was here, so I grabbed him and told him we had this issue, and he thought that we could get one of the purchasers, like Coffeyville or whoever, to do a one-time division order showing that the Osage Nation is the 100% owner of the oil. The superintendent's office, according to the deputy here, said that they would approve such a division order.
Okay, thank you.
And so I don't know if we need a resolution to do this, to have Coffeyville or Conoco or whatever company that we'd want to use to pick up the oil. It might be helpful for the purchaser to have a resolution to prepare the division order off of, so they do not have an oil and gas lease. So that's something that maybe we should consider doing.
I hope it's not a one-time deal.
Well, and excuse me, but Mr. Revard did ask me about setting a tank battery, and that's an excellent idea to do. If you've got property somewhere, a site, you could actually set up a tank or a couple of tanks. And as you're plugging these wells, if you're getting accumulating fluids, I mean, you can put them in those tanks.
It would be
And go ahead and
nice.
get a permanent division order from whichever purchaser you desire, and then that way they can pick it up.
Location
Right.
specific.
Well, if we gathered up some of the good tanks that the Orphan Well Committee have found, that might be suitable, a couple of steel stock tanks, maybe put them on the Hominy Industrial Park, and as we work on these wells, if one well we end up with 5 barrels, maybe have just a tank for BS and W, just for junk stuff. And maybe do the division order for that particular tank battery for this purpose, for all of the wells that we end up working on, not just this one tank well. So,
Yes, sir. I'd like to go to the council. Councilwoman Gray or Harlan, whichever.
I think we're gonna probably say the same thing. I am excited to hear this, because I think this is what we talked about, is we've been working on our strategic planning. However, I would ask the councilwoman to table this for the reason that I feel like we need to have a solid plan not made at an open meeting with a quick resolution. But I like the idea that Richard gave us to get some tank batteries, get a division order, and those things. And so I would make a motion to send this back to their committee to develop a plan of how we want to proceed with all wells that are like this, because we do believe there are more than this one.
Yeah.
And if we could come up with a good plan through your committee and bring it back to council, then let's enact a business plan for that. And I would put that in the form of a motion to table this.
Second.
Okay, could I have it come?
Hang on just a second. That's in form of a motion. Did you second it there? Can I have a second? I'd like to go second chair and then go right back to you.
Okay, so we got a first and second, so now we're on discussion.
Yes, sir.
I agree with Councilwoman Harlan. There's a lot of planning ahead on this. We'll be out of some cost purchasing tank batteries and setting a tank battery and making sure that we're up to compliance on SDCC and
That's
all
correct.
regulations. We'd like to have someone do a plan, so I do agree that we probably need to, instead of just hurrying into this, we may have to set and plan something out and then come back with a resolution with the cost and everything involved. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's good news.
I'm gonna jump in before y'all steal my thunder.
Can
That's 100% head right out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to say.
I nomination?
Now, are you done?
Yeah.
I actually told Councilman Revar.
Okay, so I'm certainly in agreement that there needs to be more done in this regard as far as planning. But currently we have a 500 barrel frac tank that we're leasing has oil in it, and at some point we need to drain it to release this rental. We need to have this oil picked up and taken somewhere soon.
Yes, sir. Councilman.
Yeah, I agree with, Ms. Harlan's, resolution, and it's been seconded. Just to remind the council that we have Tim out on a resolution already passed. My feeling is you're saying, Chairman, we own all of it, 100% of this thing. We really need to sit down and see how much, my view is, we can grab most of the value out of these. Pay somebody to operate or whatever, and the rest of it goes to the shareholders. And then kind of doing a different scenario here, because there's value out there, and if there is, like we're finding here, there's others, as Mr. Lynn has found. We really need to take a close look. I also want to add that if that's okay with the council, we'll have a conversation with Mr. Dowd, and then we'll come back
Yes, sir.
with the plan, and that's going on, but it's exciting news.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to go to Councilwoman,
Okay.
Councilwoman Gray, then Councilwoman
I was
Ford.
gonna offer, any of the help developing that plan, if you would like for me to help you on that, because that's what I do.
Well, and here's another issue, if I may. Apparently this is gonna be capable of production. Our geologist, Bill Lynn, thinks it's probably primarily gonna be a larger gas well than oil. But, you know, I sent him a text late last night, and he was out on this well till 5 this morning, running casing in it
We'll be up at
to be able
5:30.
to secure the well, which takes care of our immediate emergency. Once we get the surface casing in and put a wellhead on it and close it in, it's no longer an emergency per se, but it's not a well that we might be plugging. So we're gonna be moving from plugging a well to potentially, completing a well, or at least testing it for completion. Our funds are not for that purpose. So at this point, I sent him a text late last night saying, we need to talk to Tammy Leeper and others before we spend another dime past the point of securing the well. Because now we need to look had additional funding, for the additional work.
I'll be right with you. I asked Councilwoman Corbin.
Well, first I was gonna ask if it's still purging. So apparently you've got that problem under control.
That's right.
So, I would just, proceed with having the planning meeting as soon as possible. And,
Sure.
These are the steps we're doing in the orphan well, is for planning how we're going to operate if in fact we do. And that's why we procured Mr. Dowd.
Correct.
Now, I can reach out to the well plugging committee and all the information we found and its costs and whatnot, if we can develop on our side and present it to the council.
And that's when we'll be reviewing it.
Then you guys can jump in and help on that. Once we get
Right.
the technical pieces worked out, then here we go with some of the,
If I could add to that, I think this is a good time where we now activate our business development committee to where we're able to work in accord with these committees. We're at that point now, finally.
Which is a good place to be.
Yeah.
First off, and I'll get right with you. We've done this before, and it was done just as the deputy superintendent spoke about, but I'm seeing that, and we will talk to Mr. Dowd. We need more of that for both committees over here.
just to point out.
Red Corn and the Councilman Reddy.
We, at the summit, we chatted with members of the Sac and Fox Nation, and they showed up, which we've been communicating with them, and they are operating leases as a tribal entity. And they were there, and so trying to get it, we could go down and have a chat with them, but they pay an operator, and then they pocket all the rest.
The only thing about that, but I think it's great to go down there, but we have to realize some of these other tribes are Section 17 tribes and they're set
We
up.
gotta throw off all the language, let's look at, we
I-
gotta, yeah,
Just
because
so
we're
you know
gonna
that
throw out an
that doesn't
opportunity
fall under us.
that's not.
That's why we set up our own.
Well, let's take that conversation second, we gotta know, and what I'm saying is the lease is we got some issues here. Once we roll a lease, quote lease, these guys get involved. Should we back up and do it in another fashion and talk to these guys and they see how they're operating? They're already doing it. We don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to make sure we have a communication. If there's something about the 17 that I've talked to you about before, please detail it to us, detail by detail, not, I need a detail
We
by
need to-
detail.
It's going
If
on.
it's gonna be
Thank you.
that kind of a deal killer
It's
situation.
going on.
No, I still have the floor. I still have the floor. I just wanna make sure we're not throwing in all these, we need legal, from our legal over here on the leasing, on what this, on his side, we have Ms. Harlan here, and then we got Tim Dow. Before we start throwing all these other issues out, we wanna make sure we got some big issues going on. Thank you.
Councilman
Drew?
I said I had the floor, and I said, thank you,
Are you
Chairman.
through?
That's all I've got to say.
Yes, sir.
That's all I've got to say.
What I was gonna add, and it goes along with what Councilman Harlan said, we got to stop and think about this, regulations and everything, think it through, and the business plan is the correct move. And I also want to add too, is that, the land discovered 5 barrels full, 5 tank batteries full out there already. So there's something here we need to really. It's good.
Thank you. We'll table it at this time. Motion. Call for questions.
I'd like to amend my motion, if I may.
Yes, you can.
So my motion my original motion was to table this matter to the next meeting, but I'd like to be more specific in my motion. And I'd ask if the councilwoman would amend her second as well
Thank
to
you.
include that is it the Orphan Well Committee? I don't want to say the wrong one because your committees are very similar. But the Orphan Well Committee look at, we not only tabled this, but the Orphan Well Committee work with Mr. Dowd, Councilman Redcorn, Councilwoman Gray, and Mr. Pipestem to look at this not only for this well, but into the future. I think that if you create a comprehensive plan and come back to council at our next meeting, which is, to my knowledge, the 5th of December, is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Yeah, and so my
Weather
motion, Lacey,
permitting.
for clarification is that I make a motion to table this matter and that the committee, Orphan Well Committee, work with the individuals necessary to create a comprehensive plan. And if the councilwoman would amend her second.
Charles.
Technically, we need to find out if the value's there or not. And I think we can do that. Once we hit that point, plugging and us, then I like Mr. Gray's idea. Now we're in the business development side. So if we can allow us to make those, we gotta find if it's there or not. And if it's there, then we hand it over to the business development.
Recommended by committee. I'd like to call for the question.
If that flows in that fashion, okay.
As amended,
Councilwoman Foreman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes,
Chairman Waller,
yes.
Secretary Yates.
Yes.
Motion passes.
With that being said, I will highlight our one executive effort. I'd like to go into the new business and take care of our leasing.
Could Mr. Winlock be excused? He has a report he needs to go work on that's essential to us.
If he feels like it. We got everything covered. No, we appreciate you taking care of the other. Call us as soon as possible.
Y'all want to take care of,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
get on down the road.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. I'd like to have Mr. Standalone, Wellco. Knowing that he's not here at this time, I'd like to move on down to, I know Mr. Short's here, I'd like to go to Short Oil Company. Mark, if you wouldn't mind, make yourself at home, give us the information. We do have most of it on our board bucket.
Yeah, got a lease about 2 years ago, it's getting ready to expire. The first year kind of killed the drilling with a positive ABB, and, well, actually, I think we did it twice that year. The next spring, we started mowing it, and mowed it all summer, and the IA said I had everything complete, for the application to drill the 1st of August, and then, I called them, around the 1st of October, asked when I might expect an approval, and they said maybe March. So, the lease is getting ready to expire the first part of December. I was asking that the council consider granting me a short-term lease to let me go ahead and get that drilled, maybe this next spring or summer.
I have no problem with that. Council, would we do a motion?
So moved.
So moved. I have a motion on the
Second.
floor. Seconded by Councilman Redcorn. Any discussion?
thank you, Chairman. Mr. Short brought this to my attention during our summit.
Yes, sir.
Basically, he's already waited 8 months to get this permit. He just now learned recently it's gonna be March, at least it's gonna expire in the meantime. We don't, and I explained to Mr. Short that we don't have the ability to extend the existing lease. So, we can grant a new lease. If we granted a new lease today and used the initiation date, the primary term of the new lease, the day following the expiration of his existing lease, that in landman's terminology is considered a top lease. He's leasing on top of an existing lease. Now, I don't know, and here's what I worry about, and I would have asked Mr. Winlock to stay, except I don't think he would know the answer or feel comfortable answering. But here's my concern. Okay, so we give him a new lease for 1 year from the date his existing one expires. Give him an extra 12 months but that's gonna be a new lease. It's gonna have a new contract number in the upper right-hand corner. On his permit to drill, you're drilling a new well, right?
Yes.
His permit to drill has a contract number on the upper right-hand corner.
G06, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Okay, so now that permit, here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that the superintendent's gonna go, oh, you gotta start this permit process all over again.
Yes, sir, thank you. Councilman,
Just a legal question. Why are we not able to do an extension?
we are.
We are.
Then I say, we have a motion on the floor, call for the question.
We talked about this before.
we
The superintendent cannot extend a lease.
Second chair.
We can do an extension, but it doesn't carry any weight, and we've done it in the past. But when it expires, they have to do a new lease. And we've done that before, but it falls on deaf ears, it's ineffective. So this is the only way to do it, is really give them another lease. But this is the quickest and easiest, I mean,
I just believe that whether it falls on deaf ears or not, if we quit doing something, it means we give up. I say we extend the lease per the motion that's on the floor.
Agreed.
well, then the 1st of December, he loses his lease.
Well, we have a
Come back and redo the lease.
We'll give you one.
Can we make that in the both?
I said
Motion on the floor, and I think I had a second, so
You
if you
did?
wanna vote it down, vote it down.
I have a question.
And I will
Yes.
say, and I will say that the reason I am willing to do this for zero bonus and a 1-year lease is because through the hard times, Mr. Short has been the one drilling. He has went through all the hoops with BI on his ABB, he's taken a beating on it, and he's developed a nice little field out here west of town around the airport. That's been the one bright spot in the last 3 or 4 years. I guess probably 4 years he's been out there. But it's been a difficult time, so, and he's went through it, and he's ready to drill, and so I'm ready to give him a 1-year at zero bonus, which is something that's hard for me to do, but I think he's earned it, so.
Did you?
I thought the motion was to call
Extend.
the extent, okay, that was his motion.
I thought it was a new lease.
It's a new lease.
Yeah.
My motion was for a new lease.
Could the clerk read it back to us?
I was going to ask to clarify. I
It was
guess.
correct.
My
Amanda
motion
made
is
a
for a
motion.
new lease.
I would, new lease for,
1 year and zero bonus. At 20% oil and gas.
can you read the legal?
Hmm?
Can you read the legal out loud, please?
Yes, I can.
Yes,
It
please.
is the southeast of Section 2, Township 25 North, and Range 8 East. I said southeast, Section 2.
Do you have that there?
Southeast section 225.
Yes, Councilman, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Could you consider, Mr. Yates, amending the resolution to allow for an extension of the current lease if we are able to accomplish that?
I got a motion on the
Lease.
floor.
Well,
I've been through this in second and third minerals council, and it's frustrating that they would pass an extension and the BIA would come back and say, you can't do
The
extensions.
Councilwoman Harlan is wanting to try to do that. Could we allow for that to proceed, and in the event that she's successful, or we are, in getting the superintendent to approve an extension, that we can extend the existing one, because I really anticipate the superintendent giving, Mr. Short a problem on having to resubmit a whole new permit because of that contract number. And if,
Let me put it,
Please.
let me address. Mr. Short, would you rather the extension or a new lease on this?
No, what I want is whatever would work, but I can see where they make me start all over. But I'm not sure they'll grant an extension either, so I'm kinda caught.
We live in a different world than we did on second and third. We have now done a primary term at 3 years.
Yes.
So I would like the extension element first, And then also, like everyone else, we brought them back to this council for a new lease. Councilman Raycorn, then we're going to have to call for a question.
Mr. Yates, do you have a second on your,
That's what I was wondering, who was the second?
I second it.
and I say let's call for the question
All right, and then,
For new lease.
Second chair motion, seconded by Councilwoman. No, I actually had it over here, Mr. Rick, or Councilman Rick. Thank you.
the question, what if we pass them both?
I'll make the motion after this one.
Thank you, perfect.
We got 2 resolutions.
Call for a question.
Councilwoman Gray,
So we're gonna run this twice, right? Okay. Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes.
Chairman Waller,
Yes.
Second Chair Yates,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foreman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And I think the
Second chair.
ESA, ABB will still stand for that legal description, that piece of property. I don't think you'll have a problem.
Okay.
Wow.
I got,
Wow. You
Nat back there going,
Yeah.
so that'd be then.
Well, we have the
Please.
same situation. I apologize for speaking out of turn. But I was worried about the same thing. I understand Mr. Rebar's concern, but they did go ahead and honor the permit, and they still issued the joint program, even though we had to cancel one lease and get a new lease.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you run into problems, then we'll come back in December
And give you a lease.
and do what we can do to fix it, because we appreciate you sticking with us
Thank you, brother.
and those good leases out there west of town. Thank you.
And I was there when we started up on the chapter. We appreciate it.
Before we, excuse me,
Yes. Go right ahead.
well, Ms.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Harlan.
Councilwoman Harlan.
I make a motion that we, attempt to get an extension on that lease as well. That it's our intent that Mr. Short would not have to start over with the process. And so, my motion would be a companion motion to second chairs, that we attempt to get an extension as well.
As form of motion, I have a second on the floor by Councilman Rebar. Discussion.
Call
Councilman
for the
Rick.
question.
Call for a question, please.
Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes.
Chairman Waller,
Yes.
Second Chair Yates,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foreman,
Yes.
Mark that, sure.
Councilwoman Gray.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Chairman. Since Mr. Short's here, I think it's the first time that he's addressed full council since we voted him to be our outstanding producer of the year last year.
He was
He was
busy.
out in the field or somewhere to where he wasn't able to personally
Roy's
accept
track.
the award. I would just like for our entire council to acknowledge his contribution to our mineral estate and congratulating being awarded the Outstanding Producer of the Year award from last year.
I actually received the call. I knew where you were at. You all were behind Roy's trap, trying to get that well going back in. We appreciate that more than anything. And I mentioned your father this morning. I started with Mr. Jack Graves, your father, and EW up there on there. I couldn't tell you, not met any finer men. And with that, I know Dad's gone, I know Jack's gone, and EW is still fighting on. So I've been wanting to tell you that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'd like to have a short break, then we'll come right back in. Mr. Knapp, is yours gonna fall right in line with this effort we just got through?
I'm not on the agenda.
Well, I was gonna say yes, then let's take a short break.
M&T Oil Company, Stephen Tyler Jr.
Actually know that they're here. Mr. Tyler,
Yes, he just stepped.
he doesn't get to, he's up.
Do you have any supporting documents? I don't have anything in front of me.
Junior will have to answer those.
And I prepared him somewhat for that. If we have to, that we'll hear this comments.
Who's outside?
No, he's walking right on.
No, this is actually M&T.
It's got me in.
Mr. Tyler, I need to talk with you. Well, make yourself, I'll come up to this podium real quick. We need a supporting document, probably what you have in your hand.
Yes, sir.
For the council on location, what are you requesting? And then also, what are you offering?
Okay, this lease that we're talking about, this short lease, it's, section 1-24 north, section 6 east.
Section, what quarter? Full
It's,
section, you going for the full section?
Got a 1-24 north, -6 east.
Section 1.
Yeah, section
Yeah.
1.
So you gonna do it for the whole section?
Yeah, but that.
4
that-
quarters,
It's. no,
northeast,
it's
southeast?
It's just that one quarter.
Yes, sir,
Which
that's
quarter?
what you talked.
Which quarter did he say?
Which quarter is it?
I didn't think I don't want to go off the top of my head. I thought it was the 24 was the quarter, I thought.
That's correct on the quarter.
24 is the township,
We
6
need
is
to-
the range, 1 is the section. I'm just asking, is it the northeast,
Council.
northwest, southwest?
Northwest quarter, I think. Is it? Or it is
Can we-
northwest quarter? Northwest quarter.
Northwest. Is there any existing well bores on this lease?
Yes, there's, 5 wells, there's a disposal and 4 producers.
You're
And
taking
tank battery?
responsibility.
Yes.
Keep going.
Can you speak into the
who-
microphone so it can be recorded?
Could I ask who had this lease before you? Or,
David Weigel.
huh?
David Weigel. And before him, it was me and my father.
Okay, so it is a terminated lease.
Yes, it came back up here, non-use.
Any equipment on the lease?
The only thing on there is a tank battery, solar tank, gun barrel, and the units for all 4 wells. That's it.
And the units for all 4 wells?
Yep.
So it has got full equipment.
It does not have no tubular rods or pump or anything. No package or anything.
Okay, no downtime.
Right.
Place to put back, Mr.
Is that a,
Schwartz.
functioning saltwater disposal? Is it
Yes, it is.
compliant? Is it got tank, an MIT? or-
Well, we get this done, we need to, retest it, make sure, because I'm sure it's due anyway.
Legal?
And, it's got step up hole, do so I can do an oxygen.
And this, so everyone, is Gray Horse area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right by it.
Okay. What's your offer?
35 is just oil, it's not oil and gas.
35,
3,500.
3,500. It's 1 quarter. Our minimum is 4,700 for oil and gas. Is that what you're asking for, oil and gas?
No, it's just oil.
Oil only.
Yeah.
What's our minimum on oil?
I think it's higher than 35.
I think it's 36 or 37.
Yeah.
3725 is the number I'm rolling in my head. Councilman Redcorn.
Thank you, Chair. Could you tell me the quarter section again, sir?
Northwest quarter,
Read the whole thing, please.
section 1-24 north, -6 east,
Okay.
northwest quarter.
I make a motion, we accept this offer as presented. Oil only bonus of $3,500. Section Northwest, quarter 1, 24/6.
My second, I need a second. Any
3
more
years.
discussion? Council.
Okay, this be for a term of 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious to know, who has the plugging liability of these wells right now?
Right at the moment, it's David Weigel,
And has he been,
notified of.
notified to plug the wells?
Yes.
By, if you were to, receive a new lease from us, you'll be putting up your bond
Yes,
and
today.
taking over that responsibility. At that point, we would expect the superintendent would withdraw for the man to plug the well, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only question I have.
Council?
I want to add 20-year bonus, or 20% bonus
Yes, sir.
on this.
20% royalty.
Royalty. Sorry, correct? Thank you, Chair. I second it. 20% royalty. And I'll restate it all if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Northwest quarter, section 124 north 6 east. Presented $3,500 oil only bonus. 3-year term, 20% royalty.
And we had a second by Councilman Red Eagle. I'd like to call for the question.
Councilman Redcorn?
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle?
Yes.
Councilman Rebar?
Yes.
Chairman Waller?
Yes.
Secretary Yates?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foreman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Harley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Gentlemen, you're in business.
And good luck, Junior.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, before you leave,
Yes.
you usually ask for, the well logs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to
Thank you,
keep,
dear.
I'm trying to
Thank you.
keep you in line.
Okay. We've had difficulty getting access to well records here recently, over the last few years. Would you mind submitting whatever records that you submit to the BIA during your operations? Provide just a courtesy copy to our mineral council?
You gotta wear a copy and all that.
Well, that'd be nice too, but especially your permits and your completion reports. If you would address them to the chairman, we'd love to have a copy of them.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. Mr. Wickstrom, yes.
Just a comment on the records, upon the well log library in Tulsa. And I would say almost every log that, of wells have been drilled in Osage. They've been copied by, several log companies, and you can purchase them, although it would probably be something to do with the log library to get the Osage their own data, and I would be happy to work on that.
That'd be great.
Thank you. Thank you. You are set to go as far as getting it back to us. We will take the CC version, whatever you send to the, deliver to the federal government. That way we will have that also. I know that you're gonna step next door and get your preparation for your bond. You're free to go.
But he'll still need a resolution signed to do
The bond.
the bond,
They still have it here in just about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
No, we have to prepare that resolution after I get done with the meeting, but you can do your due diligence while we're doing that. Our office is sitting right over here.
Okay.
We will have it as quick as possible.
That way, you mean, the cashier's check, how you bring that over to you?
That actually goes over there. Everything over there. You just get busy and we take the 20.
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, dear. We'll get that as soon as possible. With that, I'd like to go on to the next effort. We have, is it radon?
Tom Gray.
Yes.
Yeah, radon exploration.
Yes, Mr. Gray, please. It's good to see you, sir.
Good to be here. I appreciate standing before you today to visit with you a little bit about our leasehold position. Just as a little background, radon exploration, we are independent oil and gas concern. We have been we were founded in 1985, and our operations base primarily is in the Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle and southwestern Kansas. And we have an operations office in Kansas and home offices in Oklahoma City. We have done an extensive sort of geologic analysis of Osage County, and we've been drawn here with the idea that we could maybe do some drilling and stay a while. We weren't aware of some of the regulatory issues that have kept many operators away, but after some discussions and consultations with some consulting firms that do a lot of work with the Osage Nation Bureau, we were encouraged enough to weigh in, and so As you recall, we originally nominated about 5,600 acres for leasing, and since it was a 2-year lease, combined with the sort of regulatory process, we made a decision, although we successfully all 5,600, when it came time to actually acquire the oil and gas leases, we skinnied that down to 2,880 acres, just because we couldn't see a way to develop and navigate that. And so what I've given to each of you is a map of our acreage position, which is there in front of you, and that's 2,800 acres, 2,880 acres, you can see is outlined in a green box there, and is just east of the North Burbank here. We were awarded the leases, and the lease date is December 12th or the expiration date is December 12th of 2020. So it'll be a year next month. We actually were awarded the leases March 15th. Part of the slowdown for that was, as you recall, the government shutdown, so we actually didn't get the leases until March 15th, and we immediately began the permit process, and the permit has been was submitted in July, after we did all of the various archaeological and biological environmental surveys. And I'm still waiting to get a permit. What our plan is this initial well is sort of testing our geologic concept, and if our concept is accurate, then our intention is to have an aggressive development program in the area. You can see on the map, there's these little red triangles within our acreage block. It says on the legend, proposed new drill, but what it is more accurately reflective of is areas where we will then pursue additional permitting. And so our strategy will be to have each permit be a 10-well permit, so that we can have some flexibility to develop. But because of the size of the block and the scale of our exploration idea, we're just running out of time for any following permits. I'm not exactly sure when we will receive our permit, although I've been assured that it will be soon, but I don't know exactly what that means. And so what I'm here to discuss and to request, although I don't have a formal letter, I would like an additional 1-year either extension or term to allow us to be methodical and but also robust and aggressive in trying to develop this larger block.
Thank you, Council.
Mr. Chair, if I'm not mistaken, you're the one at our last lease sale during our summit. You nominated all these tracts. Nobody bid against you.
That's right.
You didn't pull the trigger on half of them, maybe.
That's right.
Because you realize that there's no way, because of our regulatory burden that we have currently, that you're gonna be able to get to all these.
Well, and what this block represents is our reduced block.
Right, okay. And then the leases that you were awarded back then, that was back when we were issuing 2-year leases.
That's right.
Basically, you're kind of wanting to go back and say, could you make that a 3-year lease instead of the 2-year lease?
That's right.
Like we're doing today.
That's
Same royalty, you're just, basically would like to have your existing leases be 3-year lease instead of 2-year. And you feel like you could get your permitting process for your proposed locations accomplished in that period of time.
That's exactly right.
Just for clarification.
In form of a motion. Councilman.
Thank you, Chair. I'm willing to try it. You're doing that for another situation. We'll do it for here. But I'm like hearing from Mr. Yates, better options to do a new lease. 1 acre or 1 section is easier to swallow than, I hope. Is there anything you could maybe communicate with our chair? Come, that's our options. You saw that in action. We want you here, talk to the chair, come up with a plan. Okay. I'm a little uncomfortable doing a lot of their acreage for nothing like we just did for, which y'all, it's a whole different situation. But I like that vote. This one, I got questions. So anyway, thank you, Chair. Yes, sir.
I would I'd make a motion that we table this and that, Mr. Gray come back with a plan to the council. We table this to the 5th of December. I agree with Councilman Redcorn. This is a huge area. It makes us a little bit uncomfortable if you come back with a definite plan that might help us to be a little more comfortable. When does your lease expire?
It expires in December of 2020.
Okay, so we have plenty of time. If you could come back and if my motion is that we table this matter to get a plan.
Second. Second. I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Harlan, seconded by Councilman Redcorn. Second, Chair, please.
Discussion?
Yes.
One question you just answered, it's not due for another year.
That's right.
Okay, they give us time to work on it. This is quite a bit of acreage, although we'd like you to develop it.
Absolutely.
But 1 year, you can get a lot done if you've already started.
So may I just respond?
Please.
Okay, so this initial permit is for 1 well. And we did it for 1 well because we were able to find a tract of land that was geologically feasible, but also was regularly mowed for haying operations.
Someone's haying meadow,
And
right?
so that helped us clear one of the controls. And so this was the fastest way to get to prove our concept. For us to be out here, I know there's a lot of operators that have a production base and they're drilling a few wells here and there, but for us to be out here, there had to be some critical mass of exploration potential for us to move our operations base into the county. And so this project gives us that. But for it to work for us, we have to, and we're taking significant risks on a new geologic concept. And for that to make sense from a risk-return point of view, we have to be able to orderly develop the idea if we're fortunate enough to be successful with our geologic concept. After we prove the concept, then we're willing to be very aggressive in permitting, because what we've discovered, and I don't know, maybe it's because we're the new guy in town, but the expense of a permit for us has been about $25,000. And that's for a single well. So if we go out after our initial well and get these multiple well permits, maybe we will, bang down the average cost, but it will still be a substantial amount of money. But we need that kind of scale. I mean, that's what drew us into the area. And I think you'll find that as for other operators that want to really come in a substantial way, they're all going to need some kind of footprint to begin their exploration operation.
Okay, I just got a little big fish up and I'll let the rest of you pile in. Again, you're looking at, you initially started off with 5,600 acres, if I've got my notes correct, and now you're down to 2,880 acres. Again, we're looking at it, and what I'm looking at, a lot of acreage is tied up. And I'm fine if you're developing that, and I support you in that effort. But one of our negotiating techniques in the past has been to reduce that acreage as part of the give and take negotiation. I'm just bringing that up. You've got another year to maybe figure that out, get you a beta test on this one well that you got located. See if the economics is there, and if you want to come back, that's just an option that you know, in a year, we're gonna be looking at. I don't know how we'll negotiate
May I
that.
respond to that?
Yes.
And so obviously, we want to keep, all our options available and work with the council. I will say that I'm glad to be here today because I really sense that you all are actively pursuing development and exploration of the mineral basin. I sense that, and I'm grateful that I think we can partner together on that. But by virtue of the 2-year lease, coupled with the regulatory burdens, we've already done a 50% reduction in what our original idea was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so that's why
I understand that today is today, and we're moving forward, and we're looking at you doing this one initial well. And I will say there is, I do hear some of the companies talk about doing block surveys, you know, with the beetle and what have you.
And that's what we'll do after we're doing this.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I've got to go over here, gentlemen, I'll be right to you. Councilwoman Gray and Councilwoman Foreman.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for, coming up here today, and really, I appreciate you coming early as opposed to, hey, our lease is up next week. And so there's time to plan, and I like what Councilwoman Harlan was saying, is that once, the more that you talked, you were telling us more what we needed to hear. On this side, a lot of our job is to work with the federal government to ease those barriers to production. We'll do our job. Meanwhile, you put a plan together. We're not saying no at all. We're saying just show us what your plan is, because you've got a big footprint here. There's a lot of land. I think we've all can agree to that. And so if you continue to just come back, and that's only like in 2.5 weeks.
Sure.
With a plan, come up there. If you want to bring it on a jump drive, or they can load it up, we can look at it and and move forward with it. I appreciate you coming early. I appreciate that you're here, producing our land. So, but I know we have some time, and all we're asking is come up with a plan to this.
Thank you.
So,
Councilwoman Foreman.
I actually see a plan here, and I'm just basing this on my experience on the exploration and production side of the business. And I know we're very reticent to, or reluctant to, commit so much acreage without the plan we're talking about here. But when you go into an area, you can't access well records. You don't know what the geology is until you test the extents of the play. And that's what I see here. You're testing the extents of this play that you have leased with what appears to be 3 months. And I really want to work with you to develop this area. I think, our reluctance, and Mr. Redcourt can explain this much better than I, is to hold up this acreage, from others developing it, if you're not going to get to it for a while. But I just want to support this effort and support your effort to develop this whole area, and I will work with you to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Redcorn, then finish
Thank
with
you,
Councilman
Chair.
Rebar.
I'm in agreement with Ms. Gray. Whatever you stated today, put it down. Just like you're saying, you're hearing things you're encouraged with, I'm hearing things that I'm encouraged. I'd like to see it developed together and put together. And Mr. Waller, I'd like a little detail on your geologic plan. What your plan is. If you're uncomfortable telling the whole world, whisper it in the ear to our chairman. If you think you got something unique and it's going to be a risk for us, we need to know that. And then, as Mr. Yates has pointed out, we're handling this thing 2 ways right now. But you got a lot of acreage, so that's going to be a hard pill to swallow. But if you hint to Mr. Waller, here's what I want to do if you're uncomfortable with sharing everybody. Tell him, and if he can convince us, then But that, just more information helps, because what's gonna happen is, you know, we have to defend it. Okay.
Thank you,
But
Councilman.
I'm encouraged, I really like what I'm hearing, so, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Rivard and Councilman Reddick.
I have a suggestion, but first of all, I'd like to make a comment. If I remember correctly, Radon is our last new company that's come in. It's the only company I know of that's come into Osage County since we've had this Osage Minerals, a new operator. If I'm not mistaken, let me ask you, wasn't this acreage part of an existing concession that was let go?
That's right.
Okay, so this acreage was already tied up. What's so funny? Is there something funny?
No, we're enjoying ourselves up
Okay.
here. Allow us that freedom.
So, there was a larger concession. Would you mind telling us which concession it was? Do you remember the name of it?
It was the, Spyglass.
Spyglass. Okay, so Spyglass let this portion of their concession go. For whatever reason, I have no idea. I'm not familiar with this area. So I think when Radon came in, they picked up all this released acreage. And if I remember right, you didn't have one single bid against you. You had no competition at all.
That's correct.
Zero competition. I remember we sat through that. It's like, you know, sold. If there's zero competition. That's not to say that there wouldn't be in the future, but nobody else is in here drilling. Here's my concern. When he finally does get his permit to drill, and he wants to go ahead, and he proved out this geological concept, whatever that is, and thinking, okay, this is gonna work. Now we need to go here, and here, to extend it. You're not gonna have time left on your lease to get those permits in today's climate.
That's
And I don't see that
why I'm here
improving
today.
anytime soon without litigation. I really don't. So, to address Councilman Yates and Redcorn's concern about we're always giving stuff away, we ought to get something. All right? I'm okay with that, and I'm for that. But, when you nominated the tracks, you did so knowing it was a 2-year lease. You thought maybe you didn't know how length of time and how much trouble it was gonna be to get the permit. And I suspect you did. I remember sitting there going, does this guy even know what he's getting himself into? I didn't say it out loud. But I have a suggestion that will address both of these councilmen.
Well, can I ask a question?
Let Paul
Let me
finish.
finish.
I'm just
He
gonna
has
ask,
the
is there
floor.
a
Paul has the
resolution
floor.
in this? I'm not here. It's just a discussion.
Yeah, there will be, if you let me finish.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Finish, Councilman. Finish, Councilman.
Okay, so, we're wanting possibly a bonus, maybe, certainly a drilling commitment. But he's not gonna know if he's going to want to make a drilling commitment until he drills his wildcat well. I would call that a wildcat at this point, knowing nothing about what he's even going after. So to protect himself, and I'm just thinking, you know, how these producers think, because I used to be one in my former life, we could maybe consider a resolution to protect him. Because he doesn't want to go spend his risk dollars and make a discovery just for everybody else to go take it away from him. So, one thing a lot of large companies do, and small ones, but mostly large companies will do, in a situation like this, is get a top lease of their own lease. Say, okay, my lease is gonna expire on a certain day. Just in case I need more time, I want to pay that insurance. And in a top lease is usually put down typically 25% of the bonus at the day you execute a top lease. So maybe do a top lease for another year or two, put down 25% of the royalty for the top lease. The day his lease expires, his new lease kicks in, he pays a 75% bonus. Give him a top lease. I just suggest that we adopt a resolution to grant this company a top lease of their existing acreage
Second.
as per protection.
Excuse me. Is that a motion?
Yeah.
We already had one.
Oh, what, that's what, if he would even want.
Excuse me. Point of order. Lacey, where are we at?
There's a motion to table until December 5th when Mr.
No.
Gray comes back with the definitive plan.
It was great comment, Councilman,
I got it.
and then Councilman Redcorn. Then you.
Let me just remind it of the council, you know, sometimes we can beat a real good horse to death.
Come on, golf, he got a lot.
I've had horses all my life, and you can ride them and ride them and ride them, and before you know it, you're broken down. But Mr. Gray here is, I'll remind everybody too, just like Mr. Rebar said, he's the only one that's bid on anything here in the last, what, 5 years? Solid, how long? Over 5, 6 years? So let's give him a little credit here, you know. Golly, and this is a lot of acreage. We got a motion on the floor. Let's please don't beat this thing to death.
Chairman, I think it's prudent to put it down, send it to
Where it should have went 20 minutes ago.
a plan, as Ms. Gray said. Detail everything you stated. I like what I'm hearing. I don't think we're beating anything to death. Just, you like what you're hearing?
Yes.
We like what we're hearing. Whisper to his ear if you're uncomfortable, what your unique possibilities are. Don't want these guys to know. I understand that. And then I think we can go with it, but, you know, as is, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, the purpose of being here today was to initiate a discussion, get some feedback, and there's lots of different ways that one can approach a problem. But I think I'm happy to be back on December 5th with a little bit more structure in what I'm asking for, so that you guys can say, you can lay out.
Thank you.
That request.
Thank you. And this is the last 2-year lease that we gave. Councilwoman Harlan, wrap this up.
I am going to. Mr. Gray, wonderful what we're hearing so far. We look forward to seeing you on December 5th with the structure and plan. You may want to include some of what Mr. Rebar said as an alternative or something you want to move for. Mr. Chairman, I call for the question.
Question.
Councilman Riddick.
Yes.
Councilman Rebar.
Yes.
Chairman Waller.
Yes.
Secretary Yates.
Yes. It'll be that way.
Councilwoman Foreman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray.
Yes, no relation.
Well, maybe.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
You saw our options just ahead of you. That's what comes up if we do get into that time, Council.
Let me
Second.
add, this wildcatting that your Councilman Rebar referred to is right next to our most prolific and historic North Burbank field. And where you're seeing these dry holes, that's the edge of it. If you've ever looked at it, they drill it and then they go out and hit a dry hole and then come back. And their dry holes back in them days are probably good producers today. So that's a good area and it's got plenty of
Best
history.
area.
Thank you.
Not to mention the CO2 flood that's being initiated.
Stop.
I'll just say that's a
Thank you all.
valuable area.
No relation.
No relation, that was a good call. We'll have to check on that now.
Hey.
I would like to go into the resolution for travel. I want to ask Lacey one thing. Were we short a resolution from the council on any of our travel to the summit?
If you want me to first travel to the summit, then you do that.
I'd like that informed, I'd like if I can make the motion for the council that we're allowed to expand on the travel for my council to and fro the summit. I need a second. Yes, retroactive, you're actually can second it. Oh my God, I waited.
I wish you had already said it.
All right, thank you. I have a motion on the floor, Chairman, seconded by Councilwoman Gray. Is there any other discussion we need, Lacey, to make it right?
Call for question.
Call for the question, dear.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes?
Chairman Waller,
Yes.
Secretary Yates,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foreman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes, but I will not be claiming mileage.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes, but I will not be claiming my words.
Oh, you should have seconded both.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Yes.
And thank you all.
motion passes.
Thank you. It's appreciated. You know it is. And I mean that. I've been sitting there a long time. And I appreciate it. With that, I'd like to go into the 25 CFR Part 90. We received an email that had a few efforts on that. And would you like to talk about that for a second?
Chair.
Wait.
I didn't put it on there,
Yeah,
Council.
hold on.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay.
I'm the chairman of the election committee, and I read the email and everything.
Thank you.
The last several years, we've been doing our own elections, as far as I know.
We have.
The last couple of elections, and I like to keep it that way.
I understand that, and I think that also is our sovereign right of who we represent. Is there anything you need on this, other than bringing it to our attention?
Well, I think he wants to meet, I didn't want to beat this on this, so it's fine with me.
Okay.
I didn't understand, I mean, I'd like to just bring it up for discussion, because when the letter came through, I had no idea why or what prompted that. Or was he just in, Alan Woodcock's office and brought this up, and we don't know?
Chairman.
Um,
I talked to the chief, you know, when he was over here that day,
Can you make the letters?
he was there with Dr. Shaw.
Yes.
And I talked to him then, I said, is there any way you can help us in a way of, Mr. Woodcock about anything? I didn't mention elections at all, so evidently he got it from Mr. Woodcock, and this is where they came up with the only thing I know.
Okay, that still just reflects that we need to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Councilman?
I'll ask for legal counsel as an opinion or comment.
Looking at the letter that the chief, or the email that the chief sent, I think the question is, what do you do with regulations that are somewhat just out of date? Right, we have been, the Minerals Council's been running its own elections, right? But you have the CFRs that provide for this process for doing so, that were, you know, we may just want to take that out of the regulation, or give yourself some opportunity in the future, if you decide you don't want to do it, to turn it over to them, which they may or may not be willing to do, but I think it is worth having a discussion about that.
Thank you, and you'll be present. Council, anything you'd like to add? Thank you. With that, it's just an update effort. Can we move on?
Make a motion that we set the meeting, make ourselves available for a meeting with
Executive.
On
the
December
executive
18th?
branch.
What day did
He's
you
already,
show?
he's already
December
requested December 18th.
We, that reminds me, we have another meeting on the 12th.
It has to be before or after our council meeting.
I would make a motion that we meet on the afternoon of our council meeting, make ourselves available for a meeting here, since all of the players will be available.
I say,
Second, I have a motion on the floor, Councilman Harlan, seconded by Councilman Red Eagle, to commit us to the meeting in the afternoon of December 18th, day of our council meeting, to discuss CFR 25 Part 9. Did that call for the question?
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
Councilman Red Eagle.
Chairman Waller,
Yes.
Secretary Yates,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foreman, Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan.
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle,
yes.
Councilman Rebar.
Yes?
Motion passes.
Councilwoman Foreman, I'll take 27 in well records into the executive so we can attach it to our first executive item.
Sure.
Okay, with that being said, I'd like to move on down to EIS comment period extension. Councilwoman Foreman.
We have, if on your board book, you can drill down to or click on the map. Let me back up here a little. I wanted to show you this because all that colored area is alternative number 4 on the EIS, that is the alternative of no new drilling. If you can see the whole map, it will be a considerable portion of our mineral estate. Now, with that in mind,
Which color?
all colors.
All of it.
All colors.
Colors.
Can you go
It's
ahead?
different kinds of prohibition, or
Okay.
different kinds of reasons for not drilling in those areas.
Yes.
But,
One more.
we need to, so this is the first big alarm. This is a non-starter on the EIS. You know, we don't have the authority to diminish our mineral estate, neither does the BIA as far as I'm concerned. But the whole point in showing you this first is because this EIS will be published on the 22nd. We'll have 45 days to make a comment. We're right smack dab at the beginning of the holiday season. And we're gonna have to ask for an extension.
This is what,
We're gonna have to ask for an extension for it to make our comment, because there's a lot going on in this 566, environmental impact statement that we need to understand how it impacts us.
Also, I think I'd like to talk to our council. We had the comments on that also, but didn't you and I magnify our response to this EIS? I remember we talked about it was going to go back to court and have to have some comment period. But that last effort that you had seen here, when I got to the White House, they had read it. And that had all of our compliments of what we think should be into this. I do remember one section, but we never saw this map that you had actually brought up on the Prairie Park that was going to be there. So with that, do you happen to know when they sent this out?
This is part of the EIS. This is alternative number 4.
Okay, got it.
Now, I'd like to finish
Please.
my part here. So, actually, Fred Storer is the one that sent this and pointed it out.
Excuse me.
And just for those of you that do not know Mr. Storer's involvement in the first EIS, he submitted when the comment period began, he submitted a 50-page comment that showed so many flaws in that EIS that they pulled it. They didn't even finish the comment period. They pulled it. So Mr. Storer he's very familiar with the EIS, the process, what it says, what the flaws are. He's looking at it now, finding things like this. And he recommended that we send a letter asking for an extension for our own comments. But I would also recommend that we hire Fred Storer to evaluate this and report back to us, similar to what he did in the past, so we will understand.
Thank you.
And he's, and he's offered to, to work for us. So that would be my motion, to hire Fred Storer to go ahead and review this, analyze it, and let us know, what his comments are, so we'll understand things like this.
Just historically, so you say he brought this to you and said, here's the issues.
He said this should be very interesting.
Good
This
counsel,
is
I'd like
one
to hear,
issue.
excuse me, I'd like to hear from council.
Chairman, I'd like to remind our chairman was on the third minute, we fought this. We fought and rolled with the EIS. I don't know what happened to that strategy. But now, this is why I was fighting it. I knew this thing would come out and there's gonna block out tons of acreages that we cannot drill. And it's exactly what happened.
And our
So I'm
exact-
saying, why are we taking the soft approach all the time when in 3, we fought this thing?
Go ahead.
Now we got it rolled out in front of us. I bet you we're gonna still hear this, let's comment period, blah, 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 but the way we battled it last time, we got tough with it. And this is under our authority, tribal authority. I don't know why we continue to allow federalization of our assets. We want more regulations that include the superintendent, 90 times more. The EIS rolling out, now we got big blocks of acreages that we cannot even approach, and that's their solution. And we continue to just not do the tough thing. So I just think, I want to remind on Minerals 3, and we took a lot of heat for this, that we stood up to the EIS effort, and politically, and some of our constituents even attacked us, but now look, we got blocks of area in our county that they're going to say you can't drill.
Right.
And the specific comment we made then is we didn't want to be treated like a federal park,
Right.
Yellowstone,
Yes.
because I actually am quoted over that.
Thank you.
May I go to Councilman Regal?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Are you asking, Susan, are you asking for an extension? Is that what you're asking for, is the motion?
Two things. I make a motion that we ask for an extension of the comment period on this EIS, because we're gonna need it, to review 566 pages. We have an excellent, educated, familiar with it, been through it, person that can help us with that, and it's Fred Storr. And I would also make a motion that we hire him to dig through it, find the flaws, report back to us to help us make our comment.
So it's two separate motions?
Yeah, they're gonna be two separate motions.
Councilwoman Gray.
Yeah, I know that it looks like he brought up alternative 4, but, I'd like for us to really have a printout of this, or we've got it here, but.
Excuse me.
And then, let us look at, I wish Tolly was back in the room, or with those of you who were on 2 and 3, especially 3, can you give us historical background? I know he started to give us. That way, now that the EIS has been released and we have so many days for a comment, I think it would be maybe prudent to ask for, but we're just working on one alternative to hire someone, and I don't know what it cost, and they came and asked, and we gotta go to Tammy Leeper, and it's 3 bid deal, and who had time? We only got 45 days.
I've been in favor of this EIS from the beginning. It replaces the initial 78 EA that we operated under for years. When they said that we had to replace it, that we started the process, and again, I think they had 3 options in: best case, worst case, and probably the likely case that we're going to use. And, alternative, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Now they got 4, and I think one of them, someone said maybe a no action. But again, it's just a process where they give you the best case, the worst case, the no, and what we need to do is respond to the comment and comment that we want the best case for our oil production, that you don't restrict it to where we can't operate. So this is, again, and it's been a ploy from a lot of the people, the naysayers of the CIS, that they pick the worst case scenario and say, oh my God, see what they're doing? This is what they're gonna do. They're gonna make us do this and we won't be able to drill. Okay, we don't like that. So let's put in our public comments that we're opposed to this one, and that we want the better alternative, whichever it's 1, 2, or 3, or
There's only
4.
one, no action. The other 2 also minimize
Acreage.
they minimize our mineral estate. They reduce our mineral estate.
Well, I haven't had time to look through this. I've just now pulled it up and looking at it.
Well, this is just to show you that we have to take this seriously. It's gonna take a long time. We're gonna have to send a letter to ask for an extension of the comment period, because we're right in the holiday period. And we need an expert to help us understand things like this.
Which we hired last time to give us that. It's more of an updated request of what we already sent.
And I would like, Fred Storr is fine, but maybe someone else. I mean,
I don't think.
I'd like to have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know someone's gonna ask you for a choice.
Over and over. I'd like to, maybe there's someone else out there that's just as qualified, or maybe better qualified.
I'd just rather not pay somebody to reinvent the wheel when Fred is already familiar with it, and he's already found things like this.
Yes, I'd like to go to the councilman and then
I
councilman.
like Fred Storr. He led the effort. We had lawsuits to challenge this, and we stifled the movement. Now, it's
Plus,
blowing out.
I may add,
Because
he'll
stop
charge us
flow.
$2,000.
I'm only saying, that this is my opinion. Everybody gets to shoot out what they think, but if we don't come up with a strong strategy, this thing's gonna roll out over us and we're gonna have to eat it. And I still think we got tribal authority we've not explored at all. We want to federalize everything. And we have tribal rule in our favor. So we gotta fight. We can't sit around and let these feds roll over us. They've been doing it for the last 10 years and we've been fighting. We've been fighting. Chairman voted with us. I want to remind our Chairman Waller, dude, I'm thankful.
I
for
remember
red
every
leadership
vote I've had since
that challenged these
1983.
things, and now we're sitting here, here's a map with a whole bunch of the county blocked off. I don't even like the conversation. I mean, it's an insult to our sovereignty, it's an insult to us as Osages. We have the preemptive right, is that right, Chairman, or Council? Preemptive right to go after our minerals before anybody else, before the state of Oklahoma comes in, before all these things. This is ours. They have no right to hold us back because Southern Tulsa and Sky 2 don't want us to drill. They can't do that.
Council,
I would just recommend we talk about it in executive session.
thank you. Brother, we'll go over to Councilman.
Point of order. The councilwoman has two competing motions on the floor. I don't know that a second was made. I'd ask if the chair could move that process. If it goes forward for a vote, so be it. If it doesn't, it dies, and so be it. But I am gonna have to agree with Councilman Reddy on the fact that we have definitely beat some horses to death today. So I'm just.
I'd like to hear from our council before I go to Councilman.
Just on the EIS process, keep in mind, they put this on the website as, on the date that Assistant Secretary Sweeney was to speak to us. It was brought as at least some good news. We're making progress. That was the intention. Now, we're in a notice and comment period with this. I think it's correct that there are different alternatives, that we should be advocating for the one that's most advantageous to us. There's nothing unusual about this. But second of all, it hasn't even been published in the Federal Register yet. I mean, so the timeline for getting this evaluated and commenting has not even, that time has not started to run. Now, we understand, Abby tells me that she's heard that it will be published maybe tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry, November 22nd, so a couple of days. So that's the time on which it takes to run is upon publication in the Federal Register. So I think we do have, but 45 days is not very long. I agree that that's not very long, but at the same time, it'd be kind of unusual for us to ask for an extension before it's even been published. So we can do that, but again, I think we're going to have to. I would recommend we have an expert. I think that's a good idea, and we can work with them as we have on Terra, ABB, other issues to get comments prepared to protect our interests. So just a quick word on the process. So, but we can, and they readily grant extensions. It's very common for the Department of the Interior, when issuing a regulation, to grant an extension. So I don't, typically those are not hard to accomplish, but I agree, one, we gotta get to work, and two, having an expert would be useful in this process.
Again, Councilman.
Well, I'm going to address two things. First of all, Mr. Pipestem's suggestion that we discuss this further in executive. And the second thing is that I'm not real sure what the protocol is, but I can withdraw my motions until we discuss it in executive, and then we'll come out with.
Who was your second?
She didn't have one.
That's why you can withdraw it at this point. It hasn't made it to that. Is that correct?
Correct.
We'll take it to executive. Thank you, council. I would like to go into the NAPE. Councilman Revard.
You just stepped in.
Councilman Revard needs a resolution so he can go travel. I believe we saw an email concerning that. We'll give him a few moments.
Well, who else will go? I mean, how do you?
I think anyone should go. It's not just for them, but if DMD is gonna pay for one.
February 6th?
Council.
The first time I went with Bill Lynn, second time Paul,
Third time, Paul.
If you guys wanna go, I highly recommend it.
I think we should have alternate people go. I mean, I'm not suggesting myself, but I think someone else, you know, maybe Margo if you want, or Myron if you'd like to
Send
go.
2 people.
Well, the reason I mean, I'll just be honest, the reason I wanna go is that, you know, our committee, we're getting ready to hire the graphics person and I wanna make sure we get something, I know we depend on BEMD, but sometimes we need to have our own stuff there, and I just wanna see what's there, how we market to them, and just to get some of that
I think it'd be a great
information.
experience for all of us
Yeah.
at some point, make a point to go down there to see
Is
what.
it in Houston every time?
Yes.
I think, yes.
Oh,
I think
okay.
so.
Okay.
It's worldwide, it's tons of engineers, and
It's
you'll
good.
like it.
I'm not reflecting anything on Paul's done a great job down there, but I think that it's good that we all take a turn. Marcia, you would even like it, I think.
What's volunteering me for?
I heard it's 80 degrees right now in Balmy. I have my son-in-law down there right now.
We don't.
Get the list because you're volunteering.
He has to.
I need that, I need that.
Okay.
He raised his hand, he raised his
Council.
hand, and you're the second chair. Oh, it's gone.
Does anything need that?
Nope, I'm good.
We need a motion,
So moved.
so moved, to allow council to go travel to the night.
Oh, let's see what's.
Yes, dear.
The DEMD needs to know what two we're sending that they're paying for.
2 of them?
Yes.
They're paying for it. They're paying for 2, they always do. And I suggest, I'm sorry, I had to excuse myself to take a business call, but, I would like to see anybody on the council that would like to attend to be there.
That
This
was
is,
the discussion that we
Okay.
thought it'd be important that,
but they're gonna pay.
you've done a great job, but we'd like to see other people for the experience and
Expertise.
expertise, yeah.
Well, last year, if I may,
Yes.
last year, the first year, Bill Lynn and I went. Last year, Mr. Revard and Bill Lynn went. So it's up to us who we want to send. If Ms. Gray wants to go, and maybe Ms. Harlan,
Who are the 2 people they're paying for?
That's what
We
we decide.
That's
Would
the
it be you
decision.
and I? You gonna go?
It doesn't matter. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I go to this twice a year, and have for decades, or not decades, but for a long time.
On the Osage Minerals Council, you haven't.
But this is the third one since we've had this council. I went to the February one, I went to the August one, and then here we are February again. And I think we should all go if we wanna go. The fact that they're gonna pay for 2 of them, I think is great. But I'd like a resolution to approve, for all of us to go, anybody that wants to go.
Anyone that wants to go, Councilwoman.
I do not want to go, but I would like to ask the councilwoman to amend the motion, which I didn't understand really what it was other than to
She
appreciate.
doesn't have one, does she?
Yes, she did.
Did you?
I said, I moved
Did you have a second?
I did make a motion to send 2 people to the, or any council member to the next.
Can we just name 2 and determine it later?
Well, but we have to, I didn't realize we have to name them, we have to determine who that is. That's the request.
Not really.
DEMD is asking for.
Yeah, okay.
I still have the floor.
Yes,
Mr.
dear,
Chairman.
thank you.
I would ask the councilwoman to amend her motion to designate the 2 people, which it sounds like to me is Councilwoman Gray and Councilman Rebar. I'm simply asking for her to amend her motion, and I'd be happy to second that motion.
I agree to amend it to send Councilwoman Gray and Councilmember,
And seconded,
I will second that.
call for the question.
Secretary Yates,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foreman,
yes.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn,
yes,
Councilman Red Eagles,
Yeah.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes.
Chairman Waller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
With that, I'd like to take a short break, and we'll need a motion to go.
I make a motion to go into
Second.
session.
I have a motion. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion, having to do with Nate. An additional motion. To approve, the travel for any council member to go to Nate for the February 6th and 7th winter night.
Second.
Yes,
I'll second.
yes, sir, so moved.
Seconded.
Oh, yeah.
Got a second, Councilwoman. Motion and a second.
Yes, I have a motion on, we're going to go ahead and call for it. I have a motion, and you have it, that any council member is allowed to get our travel paid to go to Nate upon, of course, filling out our TAs. And I have a second by Councilman Redcorn. I'd like to call for the question.
Councilwoman Foreman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes.
Chairman Waller,
Yes,
Secretary Yates.
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you.
Is the point of order?
Excuse me just a second. I have a motion on the floor and seconded by Councilman Redcorn.
Point of order.
Yes, ma'am. Now it's said.
You can't have it would be improper by parliamentary procedure to have voted on a motion in the middle of that motion. So she's gonna have to reassert her motion and there have to be a new second. To go into executive, she has to reassert.
I say we go into executive, I make the motion to go into executive session.
I second.
Have a motion on the floor, Councilman Gray, seconded by Councilman Redcorn. Go into executive session. With that, call for the question. Thank you, dear.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes.
Chairman Waller,
Yes,
Secretary Yates,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foreman.
Yes.
thank you all.
I'm on break.
Yes, we're on break. Let's grab something to eat, take about 10 minutes, come back in, then we get busy.